What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, I'm going to show you what you should be doing to your strawberries in mid-August. Let's go. Check out our strawberry patch here. This thing is absolutely incredible. Now, if you remember, we started this with just 16 plants, 4x4. And over the course of this season, it has filled out so well. It's so lush that you really can't tell what plant is what, and that's awesome. But it's hot, it's humid, it's mid-August, and there's a few things we need to do because these are perennials. And we want to make sure that they stay healthy and go into dormancy healthy so they can come out of dormancy in the spring healthy as well. And that way they're going to fruit more for us. And so there's a few things you want to do to making sure your plants are as healthy and as happy as they can be. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is controlling diseases, which is something you don't typically think of in the off season, as I call it. And that's just the season that they're growing, but they're not really producing any fruit. And so these are June bearing strawberries. They already put on all their fruit in June. And now they're just basically growing here. And so we need to actually focus most of our energy on the off season of our strawberries to get ready for when they're in season next June. So the first thing we need to do is we need to control things like leaf spot. Now, if you've been growing strawberries before, you've probably seen this purple bullseye. And this purple bullseye is what's known as common leaf spot. It's a fungal disease. It's much like blight on tomatoes, only it does not actually end up killing the plant. It can spread from leaf to leaf, so catching it early is important. But what it can do is it can weaken the overall plant, because what this does is it actually sends a signal to the plant that it's under some type of attack. In this case, the leaf is being attacked by fungus, which is feeding off of the energy that this plant is creating. And so the plant is going to try to protect itself rather than store energy for the following season. And so you're going to find a common leaf spot popping up on your strawberries anywhere from probably early to mid-July all the way through even to early September. So anytime it's hot and humid is when strawberries can get this. Now, the great thing is the fact this is easily controlled. First thing you can do is just removal. You can do some physical removal of coming in, picking that out. As it's still very young, not a whole lot of our plants have it, so it's not really showing signs of being too aggressive right now. But coming in here, removing any signs of it can really help it from spreading. Just taking it and then discarding those leaves. Don't compost them, just take them off to the trash. That way they're not in your compost, spreading and propagating to future generations of strawberries. But also it's preventing it from spreading from leaf to leaf, because when we're growing thick, really densely like this, and the foliage is super thick, it prevents a lot of airflow. We just had rain, but these leaves are gonna stay wet for probably the next 3 or 4 hours because there's really not that much airflow getting into these leaves here with how thick they are. And so keeping your plants disease-free is super important. Now, if the problem is more pronounced, what you can do is you can actually create a fungicidal spray, and I'll show you how to do that. So to create a fungicide, it's super simple. We go with a baking soda spray. You can use a copper fungicide. You can use a lot of other fungicides, but the one I go to for strawberries is really simple. It is 1 to 2 tablespoons of baking soda into a gallon of water. I add 1 drop of dish soap and a couple drops, maybe 2 to 3 drops of vegetable oil. I shake it up and I spray it on the plants, and that's really gonna help to stick to the leaves. The vegetable oil helps the baking soda solution really stick to the leaves so it's not running off, and that is very effective at killing that leaf spot, that common leaf spot, and preventing it from spreading. Now, the only thing is make sure you don't do it during the heat of the day. You don't wanna spray any type of chemical, even organic, on your plants during the heat of the day. And also make sure you follow up. It might take 2 or 3 applications to really get it under control, but nevertheless, that's what I use for a more advanced outbreak of it. But as it is right now, for us, physical removal is probably the best method of keeping it under control, because there's not that much of it to really have to spray. So if I start to see more of it, we'll switch over to a baking soda spray. But there's 2 simple ways to keep fungus off of your plants, because fungus could really weaken them and set them back so they're not growing as vigorously in the spring as they could be. The second thing we have to control here to keep our plants healthy are pests. Now, when it comes to pests, you're gonna come across a few. There's not that many pests that affect strawberry plants in the off season, at least, the actual foliage. But again, we wanna preserve the foliage. We wanna keep the plant healthy and growing strong and vigorous, so that way it goes into dormancy strong and comes out of dormancy strong and fruits better for us in the spring. And the pest that you're gonna come in contact with the most from probably, I'd say, early to mid-July all the way through August is going to be Japanese beetles. To control Japanese beetles on our plants, we use either diatomaceous earth, which is very effective. It actually gets underneath their skin, forces them to molt, and since they don't have any more skin that they can expose, shed, it forces them to molt and then they die. And it's very effective. We also will use something in our yard called milky spore. That's actually a beneficial fungus that affects the grub stage, the larval stage of the Japanese beetle during the off season. That is very effective. We'll apply that to the whole yard. And again, that really helps the larval stage, kind of cuts down on their numbers. And then the third thing we do is we apply pheromone traps. Now it's really important that you follow this. Do not apply your pheromone traps right next to the garden. Put them very far away from the garden because pheromone traps attract. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna attract Japanese beetles to the area, and then they're gonna say, ooh, food source, but then also a trap. So you don't want to bring them into your garden. Take it far away, like put it 200, 300 feet away from your garden. It's gonna take them all the way over there, then they're gonna get trapped and they're gonna die in those traps. And that's a very effective way to cut down on their numbers as well. So there's other things as well. There's insecticidal oils, there are insecticidal soaps, horticultural grade oils and stuff like that that are effective. But I find just a good diatomaceous earth or some chickens in your garden can also do a really good job. And again, it's just cutting down on the pest pressure so we have really healthy plants that are going into winter strong. Now I know you're probably asking yourself, but Luke, what about fertilizer? Should I be fertilizing my plants? The answer is not yet, unless your plants need it. If your plants are turning yellow or they're looking very anemic, then yes, maybe fertilizer is important. But if your plants are as green and as healthy as ours are, don't worry about fertilizing. What you wanna do is you wanna wait. You wanna wait until about early September or so. Roughly about 30 to 45 days before your first frost is when you should be fertilizing your plants with a fertilizer that's going to help with root development and help get them ready for winter. High potassium, high phosphorus, low nitrogen is what you should be doing, but again, that's later on. So not right now, not during the main growing season. Let them keep growing, don't give them much, just let them stay happy and healthy in your garden and use that nitrogen that's in your soil and from the fertilizer that you applied in the spring, let that carry through the mid-growing season, and then come early September or so, again, about 30, 45 days before your first frost, that's when you're gonna follow up with your second fertilizing, so not yet. All right, and the final chore you can be doing in August is propagating. Now, this is probably one of my favorite things to do because what we're doing is we're taking all those plants we're growing and we're multiplying them. We're getting free plants that we can either add to our garden, expand our garden, or sell or give away to friends and family. It's awesome, it's such a fun thing to do, and you can do this as well. Now, the reason why we want to do this in August is because what we're doing is we're conserving energy for that main mother plant. Now, when it's hot, it's humid, these plants are really going into the main growth season for them. They're spending a lot of energy on these pups because the mother plant produces a little umbilical cord, if you will, that sustains these little runners. However, the runners can be sustained on their own at a certain point. Once the runners start to form little aerial roots, those roots are all they'll ever need to support themselves on their own. And at that point, you can actually cut them and they become almost like a spider plant. If you've ever grown a spider plant before, it's a popular house plant, they look very much the same. And these can actually be grown completely on their own without the help of the mother plant. And so what you can do is once you cut that from the mother plant, you can propagate this, and not only does this become a free plant, but it then diverts all that energy back into the mother plant so it can continue to grow and thrive and store that energy back down in the crown for springtime. Now, we did a video about 6-7 years ago called How to Feed the World with a Single Strawberry Plant. It was a great video and you guys loved that video, but it basically just highlighted how with one plant you can grow 2 or 3 of these, and then once you have 3 or 4 plants, that turns into 14, 16 plants, and you can quickly see how these plants can grow into hundreds, if not thousands of plants. And that's also why when you're starting your strawberry garden, I tell everybody, if you have room for 100 plants, don't buy 100 plants, buy like 25, and then let those turn into 100, and then you've got room for other plants as well, and they're free, which is great. All right, so we have here the mother plant, and the mother plant sends out this little umbilical cord here that goes down and attaches to this strawberry plant here. Now, if this sets on the ground long enough, it's just gonna set down roots and grow, creating kind of a problem and a mess in your garden. So to keep your garden nice and clean as well, we take it, we clip it, and what you wanna look for is you wanna look for these little roots here. See those right there? Those are roots. And if those sit in the soil long enough, like these ones have down here, what you'll notice, we're gonna pull these up, and look at that. That, we didn't plant there, just sat there long enough to set down roots. This one's gonna do the same thing. Look at this, watch this. See that? Those roots right there are growing right in our mulch because it's been damp enough. The conditions have been ideal for propagation. And now we have these beautiful free strawberry plants that we can actually cultivate, expand our garden, or sell, or even give to friends and family. So there you go. There is how you take care of your strawberries in mid-August. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. I really do hope this helped, and I also hope that you get a ton of free plants out of it. Now, if you did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button. Help spread this video around to more people. Make sure to comment down below if this video helped and how it helped. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow bigger. Take care. Bye. Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider checking this one out. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you so much for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's free. Consider doing that. We upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, rain or shine. And if you need any garden tools, supplies, or seeds, check out MIgardener.com. We got you covered. See you guys in the garden. Bye.